Ryan consistently was the guy that everybody could count on every Saturday.
He had an impressive career, 30-plus Supercross wins, and his consistency was never a question.
He's a once-in-a-generation rider. Everybody who's worked with him probably realizes that.
Yeah, when I hear the name Ryan Dungey, one of the first things that comes to my mind is you're a perfect athlete.
Some riders chase moments. Ryan Dungey built a career on never giving them back. Minnesota kid, quiet voice, relentless habits. He turned consistency into a weapon and rewrote how titles are won. From lights upstarts to a rookie double in 2010 to 450 Supercross crowns built on calm under pressure, this is the life of a racer who made podium feel inevitable. Because Dungey's story isn't just about speed. It's about what happens when consistency stops being boring and starts breaking people. Belle Plaine, Minnesota. Cold mornings, empty fields, and a kid who liked repetition. Dungey didn't pop onto the scene with viral fireworks. He stacked skills the slow way. Amateur ladders, regionals, then his first pro starts in 2006. There was no shortcut mentality, no rush to be noticed, just hours, structure, and patience. The routine mattered as much as the riding. Same warm-ups, same drills, same focus on fundamentals. By 2008, he was a full problem in both stadiums and outdoors, learning how to turn pretty good into always there. The pattern that would define his legacy, low drama, high average, was already forming. The breakthrough came in 2009. On the small bike, he won the 250 West Supercross title and backed it up with the 250 Motocross Championship outdoors. Two very different battlegrounds, one rider refusing to beat himself. In a sport that rewards chaos, he leaned into math. Starts, pace, exits clean, stack points.
I think when you think about Ryan and you think about Fox and you think about consistent winning and consistent performing, and that's really what we want consumers to think about when they think about Fox, is that it's going to perform every time. And that's Ryan. Ryan performs every time.
2009 is when he kind of had his first legit season.
It was a long season. It was very mentally draining and tough. The Supercross season was tough in itself, and it came down to the last round, but I was able to clinch my first championship.
The champion for 2009 of the West Coast Tour is Ryan Dungey. Redemption time for the rockstar Makita Suzuki rider as he makes up for losing the title a year ago. He has done it. Ryan Dungey can take a huge sigh of relief.
And then the outdoors was another hard-fought championship battle, but we won that outdoor title as well. And here comes the Des Nations. I decided to go to the 450 class. Nobody thought we were going to win. They called us a B team. My season's already at the best I think it could be. I was just excited. It was the best season. I mean, it came pretty quick.
That year also put him on Team USA at the Motocross of Nations, where the kid from Minnesota learned how to carry pressure for more than himself, racing not just for results, but for responsibility. Every lap mattered. Every mistake was magnified. Inside the truck, the reputation grew. Sponge for feedback, surgical with prep, quiet until the gate. He wasn't the loudest throttle or the flashiest scrub. He was a rider whose average destroyed you over time. That's not as easy as it sounds. It takes ego control, stamina, and a willingness to be great at the unglamorous stuff. Whoops at lap 18, rut exits when the line is starved, recovery after a bad heat. Mechanics trusted his feel. Team managers trusted his judgment. Rivals learned that racing him meant no free points, ever. The crew knew that if Dungey had a shot with 2 laps left, he'd take it. Clean, controlled, no hero mistakes. End of 2009 brought the phone call that changes careers. Move to the 450. In 2010, as a rookie in the Premier class, Dungey didn't just survive. He won both titles, Supercross and Pro Motocross, a sweep no other Premier class rookie has matched. It proved the ceiling existed, but it didn't define how long he could live there. It wasn't one miracle night, it was a months-long refusal to give points away, even on days when the bike wasn't perfect or the track turned unpredictable. He raced the season, not the moment. Those results didn't happen in a vacuum. The late 2000s and early 2010s were stacked with talent. Villopoto, Reed, Stewart, and the margins were razor thin. Dungey's edge was rhythm. When others oscillated between brilliance and DNFs, he lived between P2 and P4, and struck when tracks, starts, or mistakes opened the door. That approach quietly reshaped how teams evaluated success. Consistency stopped being a fallback and became a strategy. By the time the plates were bolted on for 2011, it was clear. He'd built a foundation on the 250s, proved the ceiling in 2010, and now the rivalry era was coming. Different bikes, stacked fields, and a move that would define the next phase of his career.
We just made the switch over to KTM, and everything's been going well. You know, I think with everything, the whole process and getting everything worked out and getting tested on the bike and just getting everything in line. It's been a lot of fun and a great process, and to be here at KTM, starting the new 2012 season, very excited and happy.
When he switched from yellow to orange for 2012, plenty called it career roulette. Reuniting with Roger DeCoster, Ryan Dungey signed on with Red Bull KTM Factory Racing and climbed onto a platform still earning its premier class stripes in the US. What Dungey didn't just inherit was a bike. He inherited a philosophy. DeCoster believed championships are won by minimizing bad nights, not maximizing perfect ones. That thinking didn't change Dungey's style, it validated it. The system finally matched the rider. The bet paid immediately. He delivered KTM's first 450 motocross title in America, a full season statement that the bike and the partnership could win outdoors at the highest level. From there, the arc sharpened. Across 2015, Dungey turned rhythm into a bludgeon. The 450 Supercross crown, the 450 motocross title, and the kind of week-to-week repeatability that mangles everyone else's math. He stacked podiums, then kept stacking them. Into 2016, the count stopped feeling normal and became a record. 31 straight in the Premier Supercross class, the longest streak ever. It wasn't fireworks, it was pressure that never let off. The 2016 Supercross season showed the same shape. Fewer mistakes than the field, surgical racecraft, another 450 SX title. By then, the quiet kid from Minnesota label had been replaced with something harder to beat: control. Gate drops felt like problems he didn't have to solve fast, just correctly. If he didn't hole shot, he started in clean air. If he didn't win, he finished second. If the night went sideways, it never went off a cliff. That's a team trait as much as a rider one. The Orange program gave him a repeatable bike, and he returned a repeatable season. 2017 is where the tension peaked. The title fight with Eli Tomac tilted dramatic. Tomac racked wins, Dungey answered with relentless podiums and just enough victories, 3 total, to tip the points when it mattered. It went to the finale, and Dungey clinched the 450 SX crown by 5 points. Minutes later, he announced he was done. Not burnt out, finished. On top, while the numbers still said he could keep doing this.
Good morning. I want to thank you all for coming out. It means a lot to have you all here for this moment. It's definitely hard to believe that this day has come. But after a lot of thinking and praying over the last several months, today I announced my retirement from racing professional Supercross and Motocross. This decision has not been an easy one.
It was like when I got to 10 years, I was like, I know what he's talking about now. And then, obviously that last Supercross season was tough, but I don't know, for whatever rhyme or reason, it was just, try to go as hard as you can, as long as you can. And I didn't, thankfully I could go out on my own terms, but it was just, I struggled with like, why don't I want it anymore? Where's the hunger? And I couldn't find that anymore. It bothered me. Like I was like, where is it? Like, how do I dig for this? And to go for another one, or if I was going to do another year. And that was tough, but it's this career is racing's so much different in a sense. It's like, we're not going to do this till we're 40 and 45. I mean, some guys race longer into the 30s, but like, I was just more the mentality. If I could, have a shorter window but have more success, I'd rather go for that than longer. And that was just mine. I mean, everybody's different, however they want to choose it, whatever's good for them. But I also knew this was because it wasn't going to last forever either, as far as, racing well into my 30s. Racing is tough because if you're not in the right mind space mentally, it's dangerous to be out there.
Yeah.
You have to be focused. It's more dangerous to go out there on the track and ride in fear and be scared. I mean, you almost attract the negative.
Yeah.
All that, you put yourself in a bad position. You don't get your reaction time's not good. You're in the back of the pack where it's way more happening versus like, dude, if you're focused, alert, ready, executing, like you're going to put yourself in better spots. It's just, but man, I don't want to be in that position. And not be in the right headspace. So that was a lot of the thinking.
That exit etched the legacy sharper than another plate might have. What made the run so hard to crack wasn't raw speed. Plenty had that in bursts. It was how Dungey treated a 17-round schedule like a single extended task. Average finish was the weapon. Bad nights were triaged to P4 instead of P12. The podium streak isn't trivia, it's the model. It told the paddock that championships can be decided as much on the average of your 12 worst laps as on your one best one. By the time he stepped away, the story hadn't hardened into nostalgia. The KTM experiment wasn't a gamble anymore. It was settled. The system worked. The numbers were banked. That's the KTM era in one idea. Take a manufacturer hungry for firsts, add a rider whose floor is higher than most ceilings, and you get a dynasty built less on drama than on discipline. The highlight reels are there, sure, but the stat that rattled rivals was simpler. He almost never gave points back. Every era has a wall you have to climb. For Ryan Dungey, the wall wore green and sprinted like it was late to a fight. It wasn't just a rival, it was a pace that demanded an answer immediately. Every weekend, no excuses accepted. Ryan Villopoto didn't win with averages. He won by detonating the opening 5 minutes and daring you to live there. Whole shot or not, he turned lap 1 into a knife fight and lap 2 into a test you couldn't cram for. That's the problem Dungey had to solve. How to beat a rider who treated every main like a sprint race with a trophy ceremony at the end, then asked you to keep up for 20 minutes. The answer took years, not rounds. Dungey didn't morph into a brawler. He upgraded the parts of his program that bled points against RV. Starts got sharper, opening laps got angrier, mid-race pace got just messy enough to hold contact. Watch them side by side and you see Dungey lean farther into risk in the first 2 corners, then settle back into his math. He didn't become Villopoto. He learned how to live with him. What made Villopoto different wasn't just speed, it was consequence. Second place didn't feel like survival, it felt like falling behind. Every gate drop carried the same message. Miss the start, hesitate once, and the night was over before it began.
That's one of the best at rivalries in the sport's history.
He just was, he always had this little extra speed, this little bit extra, and I feel like he knew me well enough to know my strengths and know all right, I can't let this or this or this happen. He knew how to play it. And over the course of a championship, he was just tough too. Mentally, he was really, really tough. You weren't gonna break him, especially not after. I could get him here and there, I could but the majority he just kind of had that one up on me, and I think I struggled to feel like even if I beat him one race,
You got to race him next week.
He's like, all right, cool, you got me there. Mentally, I couldn't get him.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Couldn't break him.
That pressure sat on Dungey week after week, forcing precision when most riders would reach for desperation. There was no margin for a good race. Against Villopoto, good wasn't enough, and learning to live inside that reality hardened everything that came after. There's a mental tax to that. Villopoto's presence changed how heats felt, how track walks sounded, how the first rhythm section played. If you coughed on lap 3, you didn't see him again. Dungey adapted by turning sprint speed into a tool instead of a personality trait. He'd borrow enough intensity to stay in the same zip code, then weaponize the last 8 minutes. Fewer mistakes, better exits, cleaner traffic. The move wasn't a single pass. It was a season-long refusal to grant free points, even on nights when winning felt optional. The payoff showed up late. By 2015 to 2016, with his KTM fully matured, Dungey's opening lap deficit shrank, his whoop speed rose, and his floor, already high, became a roof most riders couldn't touch. The Villopoto problem didn't disappear because RV left, it disappeared because Dungey rebuilt his opening laps to survive him. Quicker off the gate, meaner to the midpoint, still clinical at the end. That's the legacy of the rivalry. It didn't give Dungey highlight reel chaos, it gave him urgency, on command. It taught him to install sprint laps into a strategy that already owned the back half of mains, and it taught everyone else that consistency doesn't mean caution. It can mean carrying 2 identities in one race, the opening laps fighter and the closing laps surgeon. In a different era, Dungey might have won the same plates without ever getting loud. Against Villopoto, he had to learn volume, then turn it down at will. That's why the 2016 and 2017 titles feel earned in a deeper way. They weren't just numbers, they were proof he'd solved the hardest equation of his time. Walking away at the peak didn't end the story. It tested whether the engine was ever the point. After the 2017 450SX title and that 5-point knife fight with Tomac, Ryan Dungey announced he was finished. Still fast enough to keep winning, but done giving his life to the cycle. The resume already read like a dare. 4 Premier Supercross crowns, 3 450 MX championships, small bike doubles in 2009, and a Motocross of Nations run that helped bring the Chamberlain Trophy home 3 straight times. The exit was clean, the legacy tidy. Then 2022 happened. 5 years removed, he signed on for a couple outdoor rounds with KTM and quietly raced all 12. No fireworks, just Dungey math. Hole shots here, damage control there, top 5 speed most weekends, 6th overall in 450 MX when the points settled. Bud's Creek was the mood, 4-4 for 4th overall. 1 position off the box and a message that the foundation still held. He walked away again, on his terms. Proof that retirement didn't own him. He owned the throttle. Off the bike, he put structure under 2 things, work and why. Work first, RD Coffee. Post-retirement, he launched a small ride-or-run coffee brand, part passion, part platform. Roasts named, sourced, and pitched with the same high-average wins ethos he'd carried through racing. After a solid run, he shut it down in March 2023, calling it a bittersweet close to a chapter he was proud of. It wasn't a flame-out. It was a clean stop, just like the first retirement. Next, the Ryan Dungey Foundation. The mission hits 2 lanes, funding pediatric cancer research and care with St. Jude, a recurring partner, and getting kids on 2 wheels through programs that make riding accessible and safe.
I think once I got the time off, the 6, 7, 8 months, and it was we're doing all kinds of fun stuff. Me and Lindsay, we're enjoying life, and then it was like, all right, I'm kind of done with having fun. I want to go like work hard now. But it was like that's when the passion, and I realized like, man, I never doubted that I enjoyed it, but like, man, I really enjoyed what I did. Like I really enjoyed it, but things had moved on, and that's okay. Started the foundation, and that was about 3 years ago. And so it's just really, honestly, we started with a ride day in Minnesota, and it's just been.
Oh, and then you did one in Paula.
We did one at Paula. Yep. And that was the first 2. Yeah, so we did those back to back, same month, and then it just kind of organically grown from that point forward. And I think we funded over 30 schools with these Learn to Ride programs, and so like one program's going to teach 1,000 kids over the course of 10 years, and these are like lower income, poverty, areas that these kids won't get introduced to a bicycle. Like over 50% of kids don't get introduced to a bicycle, so it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so like I'm like, well, man, even if every kid like doesn't want to be a supercross or doesn't take it to a supercross motocross like racer, they should at least have this like skill, this tool, this freedom, ride a bike.
If racing taught him anything, it was that support systems change outcomes. The foundation exists to be that system for families and future riders. Publicly, Dungey's voice has sharpened, not softened. In recent interviews with outlets like Vital MX and Swap Moto Live, he's broken down what actually built his titles, habits, not hype, and how he reframed identity once the spotlight dimmed. The themes are classic Dungey: humility as a tactic, process over mood, running towards structure when adrenaline is gone. He talks about loving the work more than the win, and how that mindset translates to business, charity, and parenting without turning life into a spreadsheet. So what's today for Ryan Dungey? It's a balanced cadence: family first, foundation projects, and rides that raise money and awareness. Select media and mentorship, being visible where it helps, quiet where it doesn't. KTM remains a through line: events, appearances, the same orange tent that banked on him in 2012. And yes, he still lines up at local rides and charity laps with that same body language. Head low, eyes steady, zero drama. The competitive part never left. It just changed jobs. Legacy-wise, the numbers are fixed, but the example keeps moving. Young riders can copy the highlight passes, They're better off copying the average, the way Dungey treated a season like one long task, then treated the rest of life the same way. Start clean, do the reps, don't give points back. In a sport driven by extremes, he built a quieter way to win, and proved you can chase excellence without burning the rest of you down. The racing chapter's closed, but the standard didn't disappear. The work still gets done. That's the most Dungey answer possible. Put the numbers on a wall, and the story feels simple. Titles, podium streaks, a comeback good enough to embarrass time. But Dungey's legacy isn't the math. It's what the math forced everyone else to become. It's an argument about how to win, and what that did to everyone else. It's a question the sport still asks itself whenever a rider chooses patience over spectacle. On one side, you've got the purists who swear championships should feel chaotic and cinematic. They'll say he was too safe, that he managed points more than he hunted blood. They miss the violent swings, hero laps, yard sale crashes, the kind of volatility that turns seasons into folklore. Against that lens, Dungey reads, responsible. But here's the counter. The sport grew up. Bikes got faster, programs got deeper, the calendar stayed brutal. Surviving 17 Saturdays is a skill. He turned consistency into pressure, weaponized normal, and forced rivals to ride above their ceiling for months just to keep touch. That's not passive. That's psychological warfare done with lap times, fueled by patience and precision. His lifestyle taught a generation what professional actually looks like. Prep like it matters, eat like it matters, treat whoops on lap 18 like a job, not a dare.
You know, doing things like showing up for the ESPYs and taking his clothes off and doing the body issue for ESPN, those calls don't come out of nowhere. You've got to do the footwork to get that done. When you needed someone, Ryan Dungey would show up. He knew what his role was as one of the top athletes in the sport, because he knew in the whole big scheme of things, one day there might be a Wheaties box in it for him, and there it was.
I think the way he fitted in there as the champion, the clean-cut guy, gosh, what a perfect model to have for the sport.
He's been able to do a lot of things for a lot of people that have been very positive, and I feel like that's why he's here. You know, I don't think it's just about riding a motorcycle. I think it's about what he did with his motorcycle.
Ryan Dungey, as a journalist, as a fan, as a promoter, never let me down. You could always count on Ryan Dungey.
The floor he set, rare mistakes, perfect exits, crisis management, reshaped expectations in semis and garages. Your average had to rise, or your season didn't. Suddenly, good enough stopped being enough. He also gave the sport a model for sportsmanship without softness. Hard passes, clean racing, no theatrics. Trash talk is free. Standards cost. The most Dungey thing isn't a block pass, it's a last lap calculation that leaves the door closed without turning the corner into a courtroom. You can copy that at any speed, on any track. There's the mentorship piece too. He didn't build an empire of proteges, but walk a modern amateur row and you'll see the fingerprints. Riders who understand that training isn't a vibe, it's a schedule. Parents who think system, not superstition. Privateers who budget for recovery like they budget for clutch plates. He didn't invent discipline. He made it cool enough to win, and sustainable enough to repeat. What about the boring tag? It lingers because he rarely gave the internet what it craves. You'll find fewer shock thumbnails and more P2 again graphics. And yet, when the sport takes inventory of eras that last, he's loud in a quiet way. The podium streak isn't a stat, it's a thesis. Your worst night matters more than your best one. Legacy, then, is two truths held together. He was clinical, and that was beautiful in its own right. He wasn't a highlight merchant, and he didn't need to be. Zoom out, and you see a rider who drew a line through the mess and invited everyone else to balance on it. Some said that made racing less wild. Others saw it made winning harder. The debate will live in pits at local races and comments threads forever, but the riders who changed because of him, they're the real scoreboard. They trained smarter, raced neater, and, quietly, finished more seasons whole. Titles fade into lists. Standards linger in rooms. That's Dungey's afterimage, an ethos you can copy tomorrow morning, regardless of what's on your tank shrouds. So, did we get the balance right? Clinical assassin, or just consistent to a fault? Drop your take below. Your favorite Dungey moment, the habit you stole for your own riding, the race where it finally clicked. If you want more, click that video on the screen. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep it pinned, ride smart, and stay wicked.